Hello and welcome to Hive Thrive number 26. We're delighted today to have our guest, Roland P. Anybody that doesn't know who Roland P is probably hasn't been around the Hive chain for very long. He is the creator and the organizer behind Hive Fest, the annual event where people actually get together. And with us today is our other two co-hosts, Buckcoins and Menno. Buckcoins, how you doing?
I'm well. I am very well. I've been working hard here in Guatemala and looking forward to chatting with Roland today.
And Menno, did you get that job done? No. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Sometimes I get really obscure with my jokes and they land flat. So I was starting off this recording saying that Roland was also known as Ishmael, but I guess I would you would have to know so many weird things to know what I'm talking about. You would have to know
Ye-
that I'm a Moby Dick fan. You would have to know that Moby Dick has of course it's a story about a whale. You would have to know that Roland used to have a whale, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this. So yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry
that's
about that one.
Okay.
that's a really excellent segue. Welcome, Roland. And we might as well
Yeah,
start
thanks a lot.
off by asking you about the whale.
What? Oh, the hive oil.
The hive whale. Is the hive whale still
Yeah.
active?
Yes, it is. As far as I know, at least I can push a button, but without the blockchain, so it should be actually.
Kitty Girl just
It,
said
a
the whale
hive.
isn't there anymore? Question mark.
Yes, it is there. Definitely. No, it sometimes has physical issues, but not so much. It was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. They had to revise some tubing in the interiors,
Mm-hmm.
and always in the winter, the machinery is lifted out of the water or not. So actually, the controls are on the quay in the harbor, and always in winter when there is a risk of storm floodings in the harbor of Harlingen. Then we will always. I think from November onwards, the machine always goes out of order, and then again in March or April, we put the machine back on the quay, and then it's activated again. But no, it should be working.
Very cool. So you're, if memory serves me correctly, you're based in the Netherlands?
That's totally correct.
Pardon?
Yes, I live close by Amsterdam.
So were you born in Netherlands or is that where you based
Yeah, yeah,
yourself?
yeah, yeah. No, no. I was born in the south of Holland, and I studied in The Hague. Then I met my previous girlfriend, moved to Amsterdam, and then later on met my current and actual wife, girlfriend.
Nice
So
recovery
we've been
there. I
together
heard
already
that
for.
the other.
I met my second girlfriend, and I split my life between two.
Well, that's
No,
been known to happen,
uh,
but this is being recorded. Do you really want her to hear that?
it's okay.
We just thought we'd warn you.
No,
So what did you
no, and
study?
after Corona, I studied the hotel school. It's
Mm-hmm.
an international business management school. I got a bachelor degree in business management. I did this in the 2000, I think, 2005. I finished school. And then I did my internship at not in a hotel, but at an arts festival. And I worked there for 2, 3 years. And then I slowly ventured into developing more and more websites while still having websites,
Excuse me a
especially
minute.
for music.
Mangao,
Sorry.
Mangao, you've got a hot mic there. Thank you. Sorry, Roland, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so after hotel school, I worked a lot in. So I worked for a couple of years in as a freelancer for arts festival, and then I ventured more and more into developing websites at first, mostly for record labels and for the festivals. And later on, when the first mobile phones came, or the first smartphones came. At first, it was pretty difficult to develop for iOS as a web developer, but then these intermediate apps came around where you could compile into native through building in JavaScript. Very convenient for me as a simple nerd, and I could make apps. So then I ventured more and more into building mobile apps. And then fast forward to 2016, and a friend of mine shared on Facebook, "Hey, you should check out Steam." And that's how I discovered Steam. I think a week after it launched in the after, so a week after 4th of July, if I remember correctly, but not certain. But yeah,
So it was in July when they started doing payouts on a post, wasn't it?
yeah, I think it was on the 4th of July,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
I came in around the 5th of August, and I think it was about a month they've been paying out at that point, so that tracks. So
Yeah.
that answers the question how you found Steam. And you really kind of bounced into it as far as event goes, because as I recall, Hive Fest was pretty much the first well, no, Steam Fest then. Was pretty
Yeah,
much
let's
the
go Hive Fest. It's
first
okay.
chain event that I recall going on that people actually knew about. What got you motivated to do that?
Um, so I always had well, a special feelings. No, I just like to organize things. It's in my uh I don't know. It's a a hobby kind of thing. I just like to organize things where people have fun or people get together. So as I said, after hotel school, I did. It's a bit distracting, the chat. Sorry. After hotel school, I did work at this arts festival for a couple of years, and you got a lot of freedom over there. So there I could really develop my own styles, and then they even this was in the time here in Holland where for arts festivals the budget almost had no limits as there was so much funding, governmental funding, like the centralized DAOs going on. So we could organize these crazy events, and then and then it was always kind of a way to find a new angle to apply for cultural funding. So then we said, okay, we're gonna organize a German focused festival for one day, and that the guys from the event said, okay, Roland, you can. This is your event. You can just run this, and yeah. So here this love for organizing really developed, and then later on, when I was more working as a developer myself, as I said, I was working mostly on these music label, record label apps, or not apps, websites. So then you were obviously connected with SoundCloud, and later on Spotify launched. I made this playlist website when Spotify launched, and then all these hackers or these developers from all these music services, they always had these bi-monthly hackathons where developers would get together. They were called Music Hack Days, and these were quite interesting because there was a guy who set this up. He worked at SoundCloud. I forgot his name. I think he lives in New York right now, but he was from Germany. Um, so he basically set up a set of rules to which these kind of events should follow. So it was like a guidebook. But then you could just apply and say, hey, if there had been enough time has passed since the previous one, and I said, okay, I want to organize a music hack day weekend. It was always a weekender in my hometown. And then he looked in the agenda and said, okay, yeah, there's a free spot. Here is the list. So basically, you got to arrange a nice venue, good internet, make sure that there will be beer and pizza and breakfast, and that people might be able to go 24 hours continuous stay in the venue, so they don't need to book a place to stay. And then you can do it, and then I will send out. This guy would send out then to all the developer relationship managers at all these software companies, music software companies, and they would come do a little presentation. It was always great to have these yeah, like, weird apps, mostly built on top of these APIs from Sonos, Spotify, SoundCloud, music lyrics, and stuff,
So you
and
had
all
some
these weird.
practice. You had some practice before
Yeah, definitely,
you
definitely.
set up HiveFest.
That's
But
that's a good
even
TLDR. Or
even with the practice, uh, doing that first one must have been almost like a leap of faith because you got a brand new blockchain, you've got a community that really hadn't coalesced yet. It was there, but it wasn't being kind of brought together. And you jumped in there and said, "Okay, let's have a Hive Fest and let's organize it." That must have been
yeah,
a little bit unnerving to some extent.
well, I forgot a lot about it, but I remember this. It was in August. So it was in August when I was doing the dishes in a house we rented near the beach, and I had some time because I had to manually do the dishes, and I thought, wow, this hive really feels this community. It really feels like the early days of Twitter, which happened maybe 8 years before that, when I first got acquainted with Twitter. And this with Twitter, you got connected with people for the first time, at least for me, that was online, because I wasn't that active in forums, and you would share all these tiny tidbits of information, most of the time pretty personal, about yourself, because you were answering the question, "What are you doing?" I think that was the question, which was always the default placeholder in the Twitter application. Um, so in Holland, we had this small group of people who joined Twitter early, and they were all following each other. So this was this small community because there were no lists at that time on Twitter, or there were no communities on Twitter. There was just a small group of early digital adapters doing this Twitter thing, and then all of a sudden, during a conference, a tech conference, one of them said, "Hey, let's meet up in real during this event." We would just go in the afternoon. We sit on a terrace in the city center of Amsterdam, and this was really a weird social experiment because we all knew each other, but we never met each other in real life. But
So
we already knew so much about each other, and that was turned
interestingly
out to be a
enough,
great. That turned out to be a great afternoon, and
interestingly,
that
interestingly enough,
reminded me of the
I'm
hive. So
I'm near a small town in Ontario, and around
yeah,
that same time, there was a
uh
group of us that would do what we called monthly tweet ups, and we'd come
yeah,
together and meet in person.
right,
So I wonder how many of those were going on around the world. So
yeah. I quite some, I guess.
probably. So
But
we've laid the
but
stage.
didn't you experience the same? Wasn't it the same for you? Then you already knew some of these folks,
Absolutely.
and then they would say, "Hey, this is me, my username." Ah, right. Ah, you were last week at the dentist, right? How was it?
I had actually already
Lovely.
experienced a few years before. I was participating
Hmm.
on an email listserv, and a group of us
Yeah.
came together in Toronto over a weekend.
Oh yeah.
And it was the same
Yeah.
thing. It was like we weren't meeting each other for the first time. We were just seeing each other for the first time. We already knew them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, I met Dreams Team the first time in person. We've known each other for 9 years now, and it was just like, yeah, okay, we know each other. Let's go have fun. Same thing when I met
Right. Cool.
Alessandra. So
Yeah.
you've laid the groundwork. You've just laid it out how you came around to starting Hive Fest. At this
No.
point, it's probably a good segue to butt coins.
Oh yeah, why not? Let's do it. uh, So yeah, Roland, I guess you kind of laid some of the background out there. I'm kind of curious. I think you sort of had a couple years off, right? You did all the first High Fest, and then we had the Mexico one, and that was kind of Starkers, and they call me Dan. And the last year mostly was Lord Butterfly. I know you were there and kind of like helped a bit, but how does it feel getting back into the pilot seat?
Um, Good question. It's right. I was, of course, very busy with building the house, and it was also weird that I had to decide I couldn't go to Mexico. I just couldn't. I took the foolish job on me to be the main contractor of my own house. And back then, of course, flying to Mexico would have been 7 days and complete different time zone. So it would have been more like 10 days. And we were exactly in the middle of constructing the base of the whole. So just the whole, yeah, the whole house got delivered. I'm sitting in the house now, so I'm pretty happy. By the way, I saw some pictures of that time 2 years ago. Um, so that was actually weird, but also flattering and cool that it was going to happen. But yeah, it's weird to know that some people. I'm the initiator and organizer of the event. Some people have visited more events of me myself. That's quite weird. Oh yeah, that's just funny actually. But no, back then I helped Starkers, and they call me then mainly with digital parts. And I said to them, okay, I trust you guys. You've been to so many of these events. You know the deal. And they did a great job from what I could have seen, because I joined the live stream sometimes, and of course I was there with my cardboard in the whirlpool. That was that was fun. And uh, yeah, and last year I was a bit more connected with Damir, Lord Butterfly, and obviously I did attend. He arranged it perfectly, following the unwritten guidebook. Also by his experience of attending previous events, he did a wonderful job there, and I had a great time actually at this event, and to see everybody again. And yeah, but I already knew that this year I really wanted to do it myself again. And how is it? I thought, okay, let's make it easy. Let's do it 4,000 kilometers to the east for me personally. No, but yeah,
What's a life without challenge, right?
exactly. No, I thought, okay, where are we gonna do it? We had some internal discussions with a couple of chat groups. I always have a lot of advice with back to back with Gandalf about this. He's been going to every high fest except Mexico. I don't know why he couldn't. I don't know the reason again, but he couldn't make it. And with some other chat groups where to go, it's always difficult, right? Because you can only, or at least the way how I see it is, there can only be one a year, really, in order to not dilute it too much. And then, yeah, uh, everybody wants to have it. Then okay, let's do it here. Lord Butterfly already said, I think 5 years ago, hey, we should really do one in Croatia. So, and then there it is. It happened in Croatia 5 years after he suggested it. Um, but no, so it was either South America or Africa, or yeah, there was talks about Dubai, but yeah, Dubai is just rich crypto, blah blah. To me,
Yeah,
it
sure.
doesn't have the appeal. So also Asia was already 5 years ago. we had not South America, of course, but it was what is it called Latin, Middle America. I don't know, Mexico before that one, before the split one. So I felt like, okay, we haven't been in Asia for a long time, but going back to Bangkok, although I really love Bangkok, would yeah, I thought we should pick another city than Bangkok, and then I basically looked on the map, and on the map of Nomad List, where the cost of living was affordable, I thought, okay, the cost of living is affordable, then organizing the event should definitely be affordable. Uh, and so then I picked Malaysia. That was, and of course, had good flights. And then I checked it against participant lists for any visa problems, and somehow Israel didn't got on that list, which I checked, and only after I announced, unfortunately, word got out that some of our fellow community members couldn't make it because there is a rather strict protocol about the entries of Israeli people from Israel. So so, for example, Brian of London is unable to come to Highfest this year, which is really a bummer, and I really hate that the world is divided in this. Yeah, I should not make
Yeah,
political statements, but yeah, I think it would be great if we have some aliens showing up, because then we have a common enemy instead of fighting each other.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I didn't quite catch that bit. I would have thought Malaysia was a pretty good one for openness, but that's a shame about Brian of London there. Well, like something I want to just say and kind of hear your opinion on. I'll take a split second and just give my own personal perspective. So, I joined Steam, and in that first year, uh, I remember seeing photos and videos, and it was like the road to Steam Fest, and then I saw videos of people, um, and I believe that it was in Lisbon that year that I was looking at, because I didn't see the Amsterdam one. I mean, so I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I really like the idea of like taking the online and bringing it into person. And so I went to the Cracker. That was the first one that I went to. And for me, I would say my experience on Steam was sort of like loosey goosey. I was enjoying my time, but it was going to Krakow that like made me consider myself a Steamian, and meeting people in real life, those connections. It really kind of shaped the way I internally felt about. I felt more attached. I mean, in a way, you could say Steam is like an investment, but for me, it was a little more personal. It was like a little more in the emotional space of my human self. That it was like something I was part of. And so I've always seen the Hive Fest as this essential piece of what Steam, now Hive, is. And so I'm just curious your takeaways as the organizer of it. Are there other pieces that maybe people aren't even seeing of like maybe why you see it as an essential piece of our kind of Hive journey together as a collective? What's your takeaway as far as the importance or what position Hive Fest is to the community?
So, actually, I gotta be really honest. Uh, Going back 10 years, I approached Ned and Dan, and I said, hey, this really feels to me like the early days of Twitter, as I just told you about. Um, I think it would be great if you guys organize a conference, or should we organize some events to meet up? And then they said, well, we don't have time for it because we're working on social media, smart media tokens. No, uh, but we don't have time for it. But if you want to do it, we'll support you. So then um, I thought, okay, I can do this. in 2 months, no problem, let's do it. And then um, I had to work my ass off, arrange everything, but they supported it, so it was doable, right? And they also gave away 2,000 Steam to everybody attending, which was a year later 10K or something, which was in US dollars, which was crazy at the time, or maybe a couple of months later, I don't know. And Then it was over. I was completely wasted, so tired. If I see pictures of myself, I'm always tired after the event or even during the event. But now I found this cream I can put under my eyes. This is a new thing I discovered recently. It's super epic. Uh, but Everybody or people said to me it was great, but it was too short. So then, just by this community push. I felt this push of people saying, "Hey, where is the next one? When is the next one?" And then almost immediately started working on the next one. Back then, Charlie Shrem was involved, and Ned said we should do one in the US. Charlie Shrem was involved because he then found out about he was chain hopping, and then he found out about Steam. So he was doing that, and I with some back and forth connections, and I thought, okay, I found down south of San Francisco, I found this kind of summer camp which you could completely rent out. So you would have, yeah, like really like summer camp from The Simpsons, maybe. Yeah, you know that you have like this couple of buildings, and then you had a campsite, and I thought, okay, this can really work. But then I also got introduced to all these specific alcohol laws and licenses you had to arrange in the US, and then this campsite, how do you say, they went out of business, and then Charlie Shrem found another blockchain, and then this whole idea was into shambles. And then I said, okay, I was in holiday by when it wasn't into the shambles, I was on holiday in Portugal, and then I said, hey, why not organize it here? It totally feels like San Francisco. It's just on the other end of the pond. And then that happened. So coming back to your question about what, what it is actually what the community makes of it. I'm just the organizer, and yeah, I'm organizing it, and most of the experience actually I'm not experiencing it because I'm just working on organizing. So I cannot really. Actually, last year I could enjoy it. It's at some bits because I was only presenting the conference days, and afterwards I had quite some time to enjoy the side events. Um, but normally, to me, it just flies by until I can say goodbye to everybody. But so yeah, what it is to me is actually what it is to you, and what it is to every attendee. And what I feel that it is that it brings together all these people who know each other, or who don't know each other, and they get connected not only through the conference days, but also over a beer, or over visiting a temple, or doing a walk somewhere, or jumping into a pool together, and then coming up with these crazy ideas, or yeah, create these new connections. And yeah, this is what I try to foster and enable by organizing again.
So
Yeah, it
Alexander
feels.
Alexander had a question. She asked, "Are there elements of the COVID Hive Fest that carry over to the in-person events?"
It's difficult, and I was super enthusiastic about the COVID ones. Why? Because it had huge attendance, over 1,000 people per event, which is really great. And so that still is the thing, right? If you would say, okay, we do one Hive Fest a year, maybe half a year later we could do one in virtual, right? That should definitely be a good thing, because then way more people can join. And I really had fun because there were so many people. So on the first year after the COVID ones, I was dabbling with the idea of mixing it together, right? So to have maybe even a virtual hologram on stage, and vice versa, having these avatars from the real Hive Fest presenting in the VR. So having this kind of combination, but yeah, that faded away. But it could still be a thing, or at least uh, oh no, or at
Actually,
least have another one every half a year after the real life edition.
actually, Roland, I could show you something that might actually help move that along for you. You and I'll talk.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Hive Fest kind of sits in, from experiential, like it sits in this place of, if it's your first time going, it's wonderful because you get to meet some of the faces and people that you see on the chain, and if it's not your first time going, it's kind of like going back to the base. You go back. I just have found every single Hive Fest. I've been to 4 Hive Fests now, um, and every single Hive Fest that I go to, I always leave feeling inspired and a desire to like further whatever it is that I'm doing with Hive, or and just invigorated. So for me, I think it's an essential piece. So I want to say thanks for that. And now I want to kind of talk a little bit specifically about here Kuala Lumpur. I'm interested to hear a lot of you like paint a little bit of a picture for us of what attendees can expect. What are some of the things you're most excited about that is on the table for this time? If there's any
Mhm.
unique speakers that you're excited about, let us know. Like, paint a little picture about what we should expect going to this Malaysia Hive Fest.
Yes, of course. Um, so this year, Kuala Lumpur, it will be hot. That's nice. Maybe a little bit of rain. Rainy season is slowly starting, but the rain never lasts long in KL. Starts on Wednesday, 15th, with opening drinks at the hotel bar. So this guy is going to be there in a swimsuit, as far as I can tell, right? And yes, there is a rally at the same time. Guilty party is here. Hey, guilty. Hey, Reese. So opening drinks and a pool party at the Kuala Lumpur the Journal Hotel, the hotel which was recommended to book. I'm staying there, and I think 30 or so rooms had been booked so far by other Hivians to stay there. Um, and then conference day one will be at an old cinema. It's super funny because I was looking at Facebook 3 weeks ago, no, 4 weeks ago, and then I saw this guy I told you about at the start of this chat, at the start of this conversation about this festival I interned at after my hotel school. This guy, who was the owner of that festival or the initiator of that event, 2 Days Art, his name is Olaf, and I saw his Facebook, and he said, "I'm DJing at." It was some recording of a video recording, DJing at Secret Spot in KL. So then it got me triggered. So I looked on his news feed, still on Facebook. Yeah, that's funny because it's older generation, and and then I see, whoa, this guy is actually living in Kuala Lumpur. So I reached out to him, and I said to him, "Hey, Olaf, long time. I'm organizing this event in Kuala Lumpur." And he said, "No way." And the day after, we had a phone conversation for 2, 3 hours. And what happens is that he became artistic director of the Rex cinema venue where we're going. And he asked, "Did you already pay?" I said, "Yeah, unfortunately, I already paid, but I did apply for the NGO/community rate." And so that was all nice. But he said, "Oh, okay, unfortunately, but well, there's that." Uh, no, actually, so that's a great venue. Really, there is a library or a bookstore on the top floor, which is super Instagrammable, and it's really funky, and it's got this crazy immersive surround cinema, basically. So I'm trying to book a couple of the artists who normally perform over there. So to not only have presentations, I'm trying to get the backdrop of this day being completely immersive, and well, you will have to see it for yourself if it worked out. But we're currently working on that, and so there will be, on the one hand will be the presentations, but on the other hand we'll also see one or two immersive shows, and maybe in the late afternoon, opening the venue up for the general public to showcase Free Chain, the documentary, to have it as a promotional vehicle for Hive, and especially for the Hive community, and how it set itself free from the chain hostile takeover. But if you ask me, what I'm specifically very enthusiastic about is about going into Kuala Lumpur, and what has always been a feedback, and sometimes also a criticism about HiveFest, is that, of course, it is great for people attending, right? And for some people checking the live feed, but there is significant funds being spent through the value plan proposal every edition. And then some criticism and feedback is that it is too much of internal show, right? And it should also be more outward focusing and opening up, just like we do nowadays by visiting quite a lot of these other conferences with these Hive booths, which is a great thing, in my opinion, and we should definitely continue. So what I thought about was to open up the second conference day, and this conference day is in another venue, like always, or I always try to have the event at two different venues. So what we're trying to do here is opening up the event with a free day pass under the moniker Chain Culture. And it's chainculture.cc if you want to check out the website. And with this brand, it's called HiveFest Presents Chain Culture. And under this brand, I'm trying to reach out to the local KL communities, which is pretty awesome, because Kuala Lumpur is a huge city, and the demographics is pretty young, and Web3 is pretty hyped over there. So I'm really looking forward to currently inviting through all these local communities, just inviting them all to join in. And the idea is to open up and foster, like having HiveFest is meeting people from this various disciplines, right? Because Hive is everybody is on Hive, and we all have one thing in common, and that is that we are on Hive. But somebody is a developer, somebody owns a hostel, and somebody drives a rally car. We're all different, right? And that is what makes this community so unique and diverse. And this is what I think would be great to have this, but then cross-chain, as we also have some of our projects who are cross-chain, like VSC or the V for, and so therefore working on this day, and I think it will be a blast, especially with the help of all these local communities. I think I have three blockchain clubs from the universities. Super funny media partner Lounge 69. and now trying to get some of these NFTs with all these fluffy toys in the venue, and let's see where we go from there. And then I think this will reflect back on Hive, because of course I will try to get Hive woven into some of the presentations. Will be from Hive community members, and then yeah, of course, all these changes should basically blog on Hive. That of course is the idea.
So what is that
Real
going to look
quick,
like? Is that
Roland,
going to? Oh yeah, go for it.
I want to say something because it was a question that happened a while ago, and before it just gets lost, and it's related to what Roland's talking about. He's saying how difficult. I think it was Alessandra who brought it up. How difficult is it to get speakers for these events? Like, do you have to put a bunch of posts out there, reach out in DMs, or they rain on you? It's like, dude, I want to do it. I want to do it.
Um, it's not. It's never been. I've never had any issues with it. It's always like somehow it always magically uh, works out. Sometimes there are a bit more, and then everybody gets 15 minutes, and or in the early days when there were, for example, in Lisbon or Krakow, as you suggested, Bitcoins in Krakow, there were way too many apps. So then we did a couple of lightning rounds where every app had only 5-minute updates. So I think we did 2 days of 5-minute updates just to condense and have everybody give everybody a speaking slot. And yeah, you can play a little bit with that, right? And what most of the conference always program is the panel. The panel is the magic trick. I found out these days that you program a panel, and then you can either make a panel 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It's like the buffer. The panel is the buffer. That's my opinion about panels. So if you need to catch up with time, you will shorten or even cut out the panel, and if there is enough time left, you can have a bit longer panel actually. But hey, now I'm giving you the tricks. But no, there have not been no, in general there have not been I wanted to announce a new list of speakers actually today, but no, I could not find the time yet, but we'll do it tomorrow.
And in terms of the chain culture event, I'm curious what that will look like on the ground. Is so you're kind of inviting it to be wider and maybe attract some people from the population of Malaysia. Does that mean it's like a larger venue and we'll have like day ticket access, or what does that look like on the ground there in Malaysia for the Chain Culture Day?
Yeah, it is it's the second day. So the conference day 2 of HiFest, and yes, that will have a day pass. It's free access after RSVPing through Luma. You can find the RSVP link on the website, which Alessandra just shared. And yes, so as I said, I'm trying to reach out currently mostly to Web3 oriented communities, but also these art communities. And there will be some speakers from other projects, and mixed with projects on Hive, which are pretty interesting, outward facing. So, for example, VSC will do a presentation on the Chain Culture Day, and oh, sorry, and maybe Alessandra, who is planning on doing a talk and a workshop. I could do a workshop on Chain Culture Day. But yeah, the idea is so yeah, many people from Kuala Lumpur can visit then also. Yeah, so it will really be a mix, but yeah, it will still be English as the spoken language.
Cool. And so you just sort of gave a little hint that you got a few new speakers on the docket. You wanna kind of do a little mini reveal of anybody new just here for the listening public out there? Anything exciting coming, getting added to the speakers list?
Um, yes. So the B devs will be back. They will be presenting. Um, Lord Butterfly will do a small presentation. And Nina is here from World Mapping, and Eric from Morpheus AI. Most probably, I invited him. I still need to get a confirmation. And then one guy who is doing a concept around ERC 520s. So I'm in talk with, yeah, maybe, yeah, I don't know if it's already smart to reveal it, but for example, what I stumbled upon yesterday. So as I said, the demographics in Kuala Lumpur, they are totally different than here in Holland. Here in Holland, everybody is 65 plus or something. Over there, maybe everybody is 25 or is the average. So this culture is completely different. So what I stumbled upon yesterday was on Hive we have these book clubs, right? We have a couple of book clubs. So Hive reading a book together and blogging about it. And what I found out here was the white paper reading club. So it's actually a bunch of folks getting together and reading for a given chain with maybe a new technology, the white paper, and then start discussing it. And I thought, it's amazing. So I approached these guys and I asked, hey man, maybe we should do a white paper reading club event during either chain culture or maybe as a side event the day after the 2 days. And then you guys should focus on our white paper, for example. But yeah, I don't have this confirmed yet, but I think it could be a cool add-on to have maybe some out. I mean, we all know Hive, right? It would be cool to have people who don't know about it. Then they read the white paper and then they start asking the questions, or maybe having the comments and the feedback and getting enthusiastic about it. At least that's what I'm thinking.
Nice. Nice. Um, yeah, so look, out of curiosity, I always distinctly remember the final dinner in Krakow when we went down all those meters below the earth, and we're in that like salt cavern, and Bangkok had the big beautiful boat ride. What do you got? What do you got special for us for the final dinner? Are we doing anything insane?
I don't know if it's insane. I'm planning on. So what everybody says, if you visit Kuala Lumpur, you have to go to the Batu Caves. Uh, it's just outside of town. So I'm planning on going there with the group on Sunday. It's huge stairs with a complex with a lot of temples. So I'm planning on doing that as a Sunday outing, and then afterwards heading back to Chinatown altogether. And I'm currently looking at the restaurant options. This is also tricky, right? For me, be, basically because I need to book a place, and I don't know how many people are attending this year, so that's always challenging. And what I forgot again this year, what I should have done is put a push on the ticket, that the ticket maybe the price would raise if a certain time. So, for example, 1 month before the event, the ticket price would raise, so I would at least know that people are attending, because it's a challenge. I cannot just start booking venues right away. Um, but no, what the idea is, so I have two options for places at the moment. I would say that the visit of the temple would be more uh, noteworthy than. Of course, I'm looking for a nice place, but yeah, maybe we can do something on a skyscraper restaurant. But at least for the closing, after the closing dinner, I found a nice venue where we can stay, because this is a bit tricky in Kuala Lumpur. I only found out later is that um, so for one thing, what I only found out later was, okay, although the cost of living is pretty acceptable and affordable, alcohol is taxed heavily. So alcohol is actually more expensive than, for example, here in Holland, which is a bit a bummer. I'm not an alcoholic, but I know some of you are. but and um, and the other thing is that clubs and such are and bars, they close down at 12 or 1 o'clock, which is yeah, also of course it's good for the next conference day. There are one or two places, and I will get the addresses through Olaf um, during the event, where there will be secret things going on, which I can share definitely. But for the closing night, I at least have this one of these venues where we can just continue after 1 a.m., which is totally nice, which has a great view of the Merdeka skyscraper. Um, but yeah, there's that for now. It's like this. You can
Nice.
you can you can actually organize. I looked into organizing an event on top of one of these on these sky bars, right? Because that's obviously really cool to do. But what these all have in common is that you have to wear the outfit, right? Right, the attire. You really have to dress up for this. So then I have to ask everybody to uh, not wear the flip flops. So this will be a
Ooh,
challenge, and with that also comes a pretty hefty price. But yeah, no,
all right.
I
So
will.
it remains to be seen a little bit, but you're working on stuff. Yeah. So we're getting kind of close here to our end. You know, I'm gonna try to attack this question as a twofer a little bit. I'm because I think that they're related on a certain level. So just I'm curious at a personal level, like what keeps you motivated to keep organizing it like year after year. I know you took a couple years off, but here you are back again. Kind of curious. Like like how you maintain your motivation for putting this on, because you've said how exhausted you are afterwards, so why are you
Mm,
punishing yourself? And then I
mhm.
guess, and I want to tie that into, like, wrap that into, like, also, like, what is it that you hope or wish to be the results for people who attend? Like, what's your highest hope or optimum hope for those that choose to come into your self self-given work and hard work. They're like, what do you hope people get out of this experience? So yeah, I guess they are two different questions, but I've just
Yeah.
tried to mash them in together.
All right. So what motivates me most is also, I think, what what I get back as feedback from many people, what they get out of it. So maybe it also answers indirectly both questions. Is during the year and the years. I mean, if I see, uh, I just took a picture when I was in Aachen of a fellow Hive attendee who's wearing all the wristbands of the event he went to. Uh, I mean, if that isn't something, I did it also with my favorite festival. What I want to say is that what keeps me going on one hand is all the feedback I get from people saying, "Oh, I met this guy at Hive Fest," or I had this great time," or "Do you remember that we did this?" And then I think, wow, people. Uh, I mean, it's life is about experiences, right? And it's really humbling that I made these experiences happen. Although, of course, some of them were also super epic to me, and mainly epic by seeing videos afterwards. Be one of the big examples being the what the song being passed around on the tuk-tuks in Bangkok, the videos I saw of that. I mean, I didn't see it myself. I only arranged the tuk-tuks. I didn't jump on a tuk-tuk myself because, well, it was maybe the end of the day. I didn't do a tuk-tuk then, but just seeing that people had this great time and hearing about it through the grapevines whenever or reading the comments and the posts is what keeps me going at it. Plus, having trying to add these new things to it, and also organizing it. So, adding these new things to it, for example, to me, this chain culture thing really gives me a new. Come, what did you say? It gives me motivation, really, because I can reach out. I mean, it's branded as a free separate event, more or less. It's like a mini Trojan horse, right? It's branded as a separate event. It's a free event, and therefore everybody. I just say to people, hey, listen up. Hive Blockchain has paid for the venue. I'm trying to get another sponsor for the catering, and this will definitely work out if there are enough people coming, because then enough people, a sponsor will want to showcase themselves to these people. So then you have all these people, and then, hey, this is Hive. So this is the Trojan horse, mini Trojan horse idea behind the chain culture idea. But it is a free event. So then I tell these people, okay, listen, it is a free event. So what I'm basically trying to do is get enough people to hear about it. And do you want to help me? And maybe, do you know a project who would be relevant to promote on the stage, or to have talking on the stage? Um, so instead of having a paid for event, this really helps uh, the ease of sharing the word about it. Whereas if you have a paid for event, it's people say, "Hey man, you're a paid for event. Pay me. You need to pay. Do you want? Do you want to spend 5K on having us write press releases about your event, and then we publish it on our social media channel, and we do an AMA and blah blah blah." Um, so no, those new things is what keeps me motivated, and especially getting all this feedback and also this talks about and this working together with all these people now in Malaysia to get this flywheel started. And then what I hope that people really get out of this event is that they go back happy with great new memories. I totally recommend to stay a bit longer in Asia, to if you can, to decompress and visit some of the islands. Maybe even do a little trip to Bangkok, or even come a week early, as then Token 2049 is happening. And I saw in Singapore on the 4th of October, the Network State conference is $99 with. Which totally aligns with what They Call Me Dan and Starkers wrote the book about the network state, and this totally aligns with that, and it can be super interesting. Um, but no, what I really hope that people get out of it is great memories, and a great time, and hopefully new friends and new connections and inspiration, and also maybe useful for maybe we should discuss it later, but organizing Hive as a as we are the decentralized family instead of the corporate suits, but see how we can get some structure in this lovely animal.
Well, yeah, you can get a lot more done when you're in person. Just something about we try to get all these things done from afar and messaging and something about just being in person and being able to talk and like I just feel like you can make really nice pushes fest. And for sure, I'm going to also chirp in that the after the Hive Fest has always been some of the best times as well. The Hive Fest is amazing and is its own thing, but man, I've had some amazing times in the after. So I concur with like giving yourself that extra few days to go and do something fun, whatever that turns out to be. But we're wrapping up at the end. Hey, co-hosts, you guys have any last questions before we wrap this thing up?
Well, I'm thinking that we haven't heard too much from Menno, so he must have some.
Well, no, I've been quiet because obviously, Roland's doing a pretty good job presenting to everybody what's going on, what's going to happen in High Fest and stuff. So I'm just listening attentively. What I do want to say, and I guess it's who anybody who would listen to this, because maybe that message has been said, but maybe it hasn't said enough. I think going to Hive Fest, for anybody who's thinking about it, if you can do it, I say do it. If there's something that makes me not worry too much about what happens with the prices of Hive, if it goes down, even if it goes lower than what it is right now, it's because I was at one of these places. It's because I saw what makes the chain unkillable. I saw the what in my opinion is the true value of any chain, which is a community, and it became
Exactly.
real, and
Yeah,
so
that's the special thing about the Hive blockchain, man. It's built
yeah,
around the social layer. No blockchain
yeah,
has this.
yeah, yeah. But that's what makes us unkillable. So, like, if I would say to anybody who's thinking about it, if you can do it, do it. I wish I could go, brother. I had in Poland. I had some of the best times. I remember it with nostalgia. It was amazing. Not only because I got to meet a lot of people, but also because it was just great. The food was amazing, and one of the things I remember about the food is that some of my fellow Americans were like, "Oh, what is this?" Because I never seen this before. But me being married to a Russian, it was so familiar to me, and I was just enjoying myself.
Nice.
People were going out for pizza, and I'm like, dude, just give me your plate. But I loved it.
Ingenuity. That was in a bowling hall, right? That he was on the stage or what?
Oh yeah,
Oh no.
I remember Ingenuity rapping. Do you
Mhm.
remember that?
Yeah,
That
was it
was
on the
awesome.
bowling?
I mean, it was.
Was it in the bowling alley or
I think so.
I
I
don't
think
know.
so. We just had so much fun. And so yeah, brother. I mean, I wish you obviously the best. I think your plan of doing this thing and opening up to other chains makes a lot of sense. I think Trojan horse mentality is the way to go because chains tend to be so tribal, right? We tend to be like, no, no, my chain or nobody else's, and we need that
Uh-huh.
synergy. I think Hive is
Hmm.
made for humans, but more people need to know about it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well,
that's pretty
totally.
awesome. And with that,
Exactly about this tribalism, right? In the end, the idea is that we want to change the world, right? That was the origins, right? I was with I don't know, I hope if it's no problem, there is not a broadcast or a news at 9 going on right now,
No, you're
or the
not going to get kicked out.
advertisements. Okay.
yeah.
No, I was last 2 weeks ago. I was in the Dortmund conference where we had the Hive booth, which was awesome, and the rally car was there. Slavon was there. It was a it was a great. It was in a football stadium. I was talking to a Polish guy. He started crypto around 2016 with trading, and now he was really a trading guy. I told him I'm really bad at trading, but I told him about Hive, and then he said, "Hey, so Hive, I want to do a OTC over the counter deal. Can you help me?" I said, "Well, what do you mean? There is no pre-mine, or there is no not a big. Well, there might be some. some people who have a big stake. And I said, no, no, what normally happens is that you would introduce me to your CFO, your chief financial officer, and then I would set up a meeting, and then we would well
Oh wow. Wow.
put 1.5 million something, and then I would get the tokens. I said, well, it's not like that. And then I met him later, and I was about to go for lunch, and then he said, "Wow, I talked with your colleague about this Hive thing. It's really different, right?" I said, "Yes, it is." And then we were mesmerizing about the old days, and he also said, "Yeah, it's really changed. I mean, with the ETFs, all the suits came in, and every blockchain is a company. And I mean, on one hand, it is great. Hive is really great. It's unique because it's really decentral. There is no company. Of course, Bitcoin, there is no company in Bitcoin either. But it's not. It's just not there, and therefore we are a decentralized bunch, the decentralized family. But with that also comes a lot of challenges because everybody has great ideas, and yeah, and that's what I also had in my own presentation a couple of weeks before in Aachen at Detlef's event that Hive. So and then we implement these ideas, but maybe a company format also has some great benefits. Such some centralism can also be nice, and of course we also apply some of that through, for example, a value plan, which really is really helpful for smaller events that they don't need to promote themselves for getting DAO funding and getting to lurk at all these big stakeholders to vote for them, or having a shit ton of small stakeholders to reach out to. So that's really nice that there is, for example, a little bit of a centralization through, of course, yeah, this, but yeah, um, sometimes,
You know what this reminds me of? Let me see if you agree with me. I mean, I'm old. I mean, I'm not old. I'm getting old. But I
mhm,
started really getting falling in love with computers right when Linux started to like make a splash. It was I think it was 1995 or 1996 the first time I installed Linux. And I remember back then, you really had to know what you were doing. It was difficult. You had to compile your own kernels and all stuff because otherwise, nothing would work. But you had to be a nerd because to do it because it was almost like some sort of I don't know punishment. But I loved every second of it. I had a 486 SX processor. Some people don't even know what that is. But
mhm,
and I was running Linux and I was a happy man. And I could not imagine back then. I could not imagine Linux winning. I couldn't because they didn't have a budget for marketing. They didn't have anything. It was just some crazy dude saying that he was going to disrupt what back then was an obvious monopoly by the big companies. And eventually, and some people don't know this, but I think everybody should. Not only did Linux win, it won in the biggest margin possible because the internet is Linux. And so these days, the infrastructure of the one thing that after we have water and after we have food and after we have electricity, and after we pay for the very basic things for our existence, the internet, which is there now, some people even consider a human right, is built on top of Linux. So it won. It won because the technology was disruptive enough. It won because there was no other way it couldn't win. And I feel sometimes that Hive is the same thing. We don't have this crazy marketing budget. We just have a lot of people doing what they can, spreading the word, making little apps, trying to trying to show other people the opportunities that are present. And as long as we keep on polishing the, let's call this a layer one or the tech, eventually it's bound to happen because we have advantages that are undeniable. And every time I always find it fascinating, more so when I hear like Crimson having a conversation with somebody teaching them about Hive, and she's obviously a very good
mhm.
communicator, and they start to
Yes,
get
yes,
blown away, or the experience that you just had, but they start to get blown away. What? It doesn't have this. It doesn't have VC. What are you talking about? There's no CFO. And and I just go like, wow, wait until people find out. That's always what I go back to. Wait until people find out. And then and like stalkers like to say, then you'll really know who the hell has a shitcoin because it's certainly not us, you know? So I'm all for it. I think the thing that you're doing is possibly what we should be doing more of, participating of more crypto things, but not necessarily just Hive, not just preaching to the choir, but letting more people know what it is that we're doing and why they should come build their ideas on Hive.
Yeah, yeah, I totally. I'm really fan of these conferences. And I'm also thinking about having this like a side event, like this chain coffee thing. It could maybe be a thing to visit that on a couple of conferences, right? To have this, so you still get this social. So the idea is to be a bit like social, like Hive, like a mix. Maybe you have some art, just like you have the artists on Hive. Maybe you have some developers and then um, some traders, but a mix of people, and then have one or two presentation about Hive, and then some others, and then travel around at a couple of these bigger conferences with your own side event. But I think then having Hive in the name could be a bit too limiting. And then that's what why I chose to rebrand it. Still feeling, to me at least, it feels like this because Hive Fest is chain culture. Actually, it is about culture on the chain or about community on the chain. It is social on the chain, and yeah, I'm really a fan I'm really a fan of Hive going to these conferences. I think it's really good. And on one hand, I mean, the past two events I went to in Germany, it really helped to not be involved in organizing myself uh, with an event and having a lot of discussions. And we really had a talk through about getting more out of these events after attending, after the fact itself, actually, because yeah, that should also totally be worthwhile afterwards. But yeah, uh, that's about it.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna Shadow. I think we kind of went over a little bit, but the conversation was good, so it's worth it, right?
It was indeed. And how often do we get rolling here?
Uh,
Exactly.
sorry, no, I noted down the next one already for 8th of October at
That's for the witness town hall.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Exactly, 4 p.m. UTC, 8th October.
In the meantime, Hive Thrive is here every Tuesday.
Alrighty.
Every Tuesday at the same time we started today. Uh, yes, we did go a little bit over, but that's good because it shows
Okay.
that it was a lively conversation. I did want to note I was looking at the Chain Culture website, and I do see that we've got a
Yeah.
couple of the speakers are in the channel today, Alessandra and Block Trades. Unless there was one here hiding under a Discord name that I didn't recognize.
Yeah. So this was so I put all the speakers of the HiFest uh, site also on the chain culture site.
That's where I got the names. I was checking it out. But
Nice, nice.
did you have any last words?
No, just wanted to say thanks a lot, Roland, for coming and for putting on this great community event, and appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share with us what is coming. I guess if people are planning on going, I'm assuming the hashtag Road to Hive Fest will be getting activated if it's not already activated. So I encourage people to go and do that. And we'll see you guys at the next round of Hive Thrive. Thanks for tuning in today, guys.
And do we have a guest to
Alrighty.
announce?
Ah, I was wondering if you were gonna ask. So I had a couple of people that were like, I was like, like one person had to switch to the 2 weeks from this coming Tuesday, and so we have a mini little gap that I need to fill here in the next few days. So if anybody's got any ideas for who we should interview, I have some messages out that aren't being responded to, but there is officially nobody. But there will be some. We will do a shot, but we don't know who it is yet.
Menno has suggested Ned, but I have a feeling that would be a no-show.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll interview Ned's hair, maybe.
That might work easier. might not understand the
I
answers,
wonder
but
who has that account.
what's that?
I wonder who controls that account. I thought it was Bernie, but now I'm not sure.
Well, with
Let's
that,
Jesus.
with with that, we shall wrap up this week of Hive Thrive. Thank you, Roland, for being with us and being such a great guest. Thank you, Menno, for
Thank
helping
you
out
for
with
the
the.
invitation.
Pardon me. Oh, yes, our pleasure. Thank you, Menno, for helping out with the hosting, and thank you for getting back with us, Butt Coins. And with that,
Absolutely.
that's all for today, folks. Thanks for listening in.